Hi there, everybody, and welcome to California wine country, where the racing's woolly and the sheep, well, they cut your grass. It's round 2 of the Ray Esports Racing League, brought to you by RaceVoice and Driver61 here on Apex Racing TV. And this week, we're at Sonoma Raceway. In its 52 years of operation, this 2.5-mile, 12-turn circuit nestled in the mountains at Sears Point has almost 160 feet of elevation change from its lowest point to its highest, and it will definitely present our racers a set of challenges far different from what they saw during our inaugural outing last week at Road Atlanta. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and I'm joined once again in the commentary booth by Avery McDonald. So Avery, last week we were at Road Atlanta, and it's flowing hills and it's plentiful passing zones, and although Sonoma has the same number of turns and a similar length, it really races quite differently.
Yeah, such a different track. I mean, there's not as many good passing opportunities here at Sonoma Raceway, but once again, it's a tough track to be just consistent every single lap, and we saw last week where the drivers were really consistent, had some great racing. So my favorite thing about this track, a bunch of different types of turns, which makes it a little trickier to put on a really good lap.
Yeah, absolutely, Avery. Lots of very, very difficult turns here, and much like Road Atlanta, lots of elevation changes, as I mentioned, just from turn 1 up to the crest of turn 2. It's 160 feet. I actually ran a 5K race at Sonoma Raceway a couple years ago, and I can tell you, when I finally got to the top of that hill, I didn't want to run the other 2.3 miles of the track. It was absolutely, literally took my breath away. And so, this track will create some challenges for our racers. Now, let me give you a rundown of what we're going to have right now. You're watching our Mazda MX-5 cars. Again, I'll probably call it Spec Miata 25 times tonight. The Mazda MX-5 cars, they are on track. In their qualifying session, we will see the Pro Mazda cars. That's basically the old Star Mazda Formula cars a little bit later this evening. Each one of these two race groups tonight, they had already an 80-minute practice, or at least our Miatas had a 80-minute practice. They then have a 15-minute qualifying session, which again, we're watching right now, and that 15-minute qualifying session has just about 4 minutes left, and then we'll have a 20-minute race. Last week, all of our drivers from the Spec Miata group, or Mazda MX-5 group, as well as Spec Racer Ford, we're at Road Atlanta. We'll talk a little bit about the finish in that race a little bit later, but Zach Burke and Michael Peake put on an amazing race, the two Canadians last week, Avery, and it came down actually to both Burke and Peake, and then Ryan Maloney and John Allen, who we see out here in qualifying as well, that we had 3 cars wide going into the final turns at Road Atlanta, and the two Canadians came out on top.
Yeah, it was a battle for the ages. I've seen so many sim races in my now 11 years on iRacing, and that definitely in the top 10 of finishes. You don't get very many side-by-side finishes when it comes to these road courses, and that's what we got last week at Road Atlanta. So, this track may not give us the best chance for a side-by-side finish, but, it's still going to be an exciting race. We've got a lot of talented drivers throughout the whole field, and battles for every position from 1 to 40. There's going to be a lot of good battles. Yeah,
without a doubt. As I was watching some of the practice in this MX-5 group a little bit earlier, saw a lot of drivers practicing, and maybe they didn't intend to be racing side by side, but they were practicing a lot of side by side action here. As we discussed before we went on air, a portion of this track it seems to be like a one-lane, and we'll talk a little bit more about the racetrack itself in just a few moments, but did want to mention, of course, I said that we're going to have the Mazda MX-5s and the Pro Mazdas, the Formula Mazdas, running tonight. We're not going to have the Spec Racer Fords, which we had last week at Road Atlanta, but we do have on the Ray Esports Racing League 3 different classes, and we rotate through them each week. It is a 9-week series. Again, this is week 2, and we have 2 races per evening. So the odd man out this week is Spec Racer Ford. They're going to return next week, and the Mazda MX-5s will take the week off next week. So good thing going. As you can see up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, this race is going to be brought to you by Driver61. You can find out more information about them at driver61.com. They offer race coaching to help you either at the physical racetracks or here in the virtual world with your sim racing. So definitely check them out at Driver61.com. All right, so we've got. Go ahead, Avery. Sorry.
One thing I wanted to say was, you know, the nice thing about having the 3 different series that rotate is, like, if you're really good at one car, you at least got one of your cars racing every other week. If you're really bad at one car, one of the weeks you don't have to race with them. So it's always cool to have the different types of cars and see what the drivers can do when they get into a different car.
You got it. And the way we've got the timing set up in the evening here, there is definitely time. Although, you know, if you're racing in the MX-5s, you won't be able to get in your full 80 minutes of practice in the Pro Mazdas, but it is certainly possible to run both races in an evening, and I'm sure that we'll probably see some double dippers tonight, just as we saw racers last week race in both Spec Racer Ford and also in MX-5. So if you take a look right now, and we've got just a few minutes left to go in this 15-minute qualifying session. Actually, just about 5 seconds left to go in this qualifying session. You'll see some of those folks that finished at the top of the leaderboard in last week's race: Maloney, Burke, Peak, and Allen. Currently your top 4, and the checkered flag is now out. So flying laps will count, and you're looking right now on screen at John Allen in the number 101 car. John finished last week in 4th. He was actually in the lead momentarily going into the last turns at Road Atlanta, and ran out of gas coming down the hill at turn 12, which moved him back to 4th position. But now we're taking a look at Michael Peak, one of the 2 Canadians. Michael in the number 56 car. He is finishing up a lap here. Let's see if he can jump to the top of the leaderboard as he tries to set something a little bit faster than his previous 1:45.82. And does he turn a faster lap? No, he does not. He actually turns a 1:52 and change, so he is going to start 3rd. And as we mentioned, we still have a number of drivers out on course. Want to point to, and I believe he's already in the pits, and his qualifying session is done, and we'll probably talk about him a little bit later. Steve Ray driving the number 11 car. Steve, let's see where Steve finished last week. We know he finished 2nd in Spec Racer Ford. I was trying to see where he finished in the Mazdas last week. Steve is the Ray in Ray eSports. And he's the one who is bringing you this series and has put it together. So definitely want to thank Steve for all the great work that he's doing. And last week in MX-5, he managed to get, I believe, 43 drivers to compete. And this week, we're looking at just under 40, about 37, 38 cars this week.
And a lot of the same. Number.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the same drivers that we saw last week, but I'm seeing a lot of drivers here that did not race with us this week, and I would suspect that as this series goes on, that we're going to be picking up a number more racers as well. And so again, this is a race series, and what we're doing is we basically pay points back to 20th position. And the way we're basing the points is off of a Sports Car Club of America, what they call the Majors Series. And your winner each week will get 25 points. Second place will get 21. Third place will get 18. And then we go 17, 16, 15, and back to 1 point. So the top 20 finishers will get points. So now that we've got qualifying done, Avery, why don't we go? We'll give everybody the starting grid here for the Global MX-5 Cup cars here on the Ray Esports Racing League.
Yeah, we got a stacked field of 40 drivers starting on the pole. Ryan Maloney, and you got Zach Burke, Mitchell Peak, and then John Allen, who ran out of fuel last week and ironically ran out of fuel last night if you're tuning into Apex Racing TV. And we got Micah Keltner, Charles Bailey, Murphy Nichols, Jordy Fike, Tyler Campbell, Cooper Lilly, and then Ray and Ray Esports Racing, Stevie Ray 11th, and Greg Mack in 12th down to 13th. We got Andre Jameson, we got Samuel Tully, John Fusel, Andrew Rosencroft, Chad Griffith, Charles Vaccaro, Michael Gallardo, Bryce Evans, Jeffrey Tattersall, Stephen Muck, Bobby Blankenship, Serge Prodham. In 24th, down 25th, Rich Hammond. We got Chris Spiller, Charles Junger, Stephen Clark, Antonio Guardo, 19th. Greg Brockway, 30th. Adam Buchanan, 31st. Danny Tomlin, 32nd. Johan Effinger, 33rd. And Todd Martin, James Hodge, John Casey, Wayne Buttermore, Brandon Horian, Corey Hunter, and Michael Feeney from the Carolina Club rounding out the field for today's eSports Racing League Round 2 at Sonoma. It's going to be great, Greg. I'm out of breath.
Yeah. There you go. That was a long 40 cars. I was sitting there waiting. It's going to help you out, man. But good job there. And we'll tell you what, we've got a 2.5 mile pace lap to give you time to rest.
I appreciate that.
No problem. As the pace car now, the Porsche 911 pace car brings our Miatas now down into turn 1 and up the hill towards turn 2. And you can see here as our drivers are making their way, rolling off here. And this is the time when the drivers are going to try and get some heat in the brakes, some heat in the tires as well. And you know, as we mentioned here, and I guess we'll follow the cars around here as they make their way around the track again. 12 turns, and some of these turns are really quite a challenge with all the elevation change. You go that 120 feet up to turn 2, and then you start to drop right back down again as you come down, as you see our drivers making their way through turns 4 and 5 into the portion of the track that is known as the carousel, that you drop down here. As you can see, you rise up just a little bit, and then as you roll down the hill, big sweeping left-hander that you come around.
Easy spot to go off the track. Very easy spot to go off track.
Yeah, everybody there, they either outbrake themselves or they apex that last apex a little bit early at the exit of turn 6, and then they make their way up towards a runoff towards turn 7. Now a little bit of a challenge here as they come through, and they've got a double apex corner here. Basically, it's known as turn 7, but it's really 2 turns there. You want to get that curbing as they come through, and this is the area Avery I mentioned is really kind of almost a 1-lane track through here. Very, very difficult for drivers to pass. You just have these very short little runs between corners and very sharp corners that's kind of hard to get flow here.
Yeah, you want to just pretty much have a good position coming out of turn 7, which turn 7 is my favorite turn on this track. I really like double apex corners. I honestly don't know why, but like it's one of my favorite turns. So you get a good position into the curves, and
and then exactly, and you make your way through turn 10, and then you come right behind here, the drag strip tower. You'll see the pace car now coming into the pit lane. The drivers are going to have a horseshoe here at turn 11 that they will come around. That will give them another very short straight till they make a left-hand turn at turn 12 and get ready for the start. And the field doesn't look very well lined up there as they come through turn 12, Avery. Matter of fact, instead of a 2x2 start, they came through turn 12 almost nose to tail in single file here as the rest of the field tries to make their way now onto the front straight as they make their way up the hill, sitting at the top of the leaderboard after 2 turns. Ryan Maloney in the number 15 car. Then Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak. Remember, Burke was our winner last week. Peak finished second. Maloney finished on the last step of the podium last week, but he leads the field now through turn 4 as they start to make their way down the hill. The 2 Canadians in the silver and black cars right behind. Then you've got Allen and Kettner right behind. Then we've got Charles Bailey, who I know from the SCCA Foundation League, as with Murphy Nichols, who is only, I believe, 17 years old now. Jordan Fike, Taylor Campbell, Cooper Lilly, and then Stevie Ray just out of the top 10 as they come to that double apex turn for the first time, Avery.
Yeah, Maloney able to get a really good start on Burke, Peak, and Allen, your top 4, and as you said, going through turn number 7. Now we get into the long and twisty portion of the track. You see him just kind of zigging and zagging through there, just kind of follow the leader. Good opportunity to kind of judge on where you're at, because the good chance to make a passing opportunity is coming up at the at the hairpin, so we'll see if any of these drivers are going to make a move. It could be the 63 of Bailey might try to make an overtake.
Yeah, let's take a look here, and you can see, and just as you mentioned, Bailey gives a little peek to the inside there as they come into the horseshoe for the very first time. A couple other cars side by side. We got Cooper Lilly and Greg Mack in the number 2 car side by side as they come through. But again, they're going to find the passing here kind of tough. That horseshoe. Actually, the entrance to the horseshoe is one of the prime passing corners here, that if you can get the braking done late and kind of sneak to the inside, you can carry it all the way through. But nobody's looking at that after one lap there. I think people are trying to really stay in line and keep up with our lead pack rather than falling back here as the drivers make their way through turn 2. Up, going a little wide there I believe that was Bailey in the number 63 car. It might have been Keltner. We'll take a look at that in just a second, Avery.
Yeah, it looked like Bailey. Now we have Charles going off track a little bit. Some really good battles here in the back of the field. This is around the 26th and 28th position. Oh, and around goes Effinger. Nice little save. Loses a couple spots, but able to maintain still a pretty good position. Just falling down to I believe 28th. And yep, this is a very tough portion of the track. You're going to see drivers kind of hug the corner, because if they go wide, Greg, they're done. So
yeah, exactly, and you'll notice here, and really quite accurate. Although, interestingly enough, this is this cup course, as iRacing calls it, is actually a version of the track that was raced back from 1968 to 1992. And so it really hasn't been raced all that much for the past number of years. But when you go off track, you can see here lots of dirt, lots of dust, not a lot of traction. So you definitely want to keep it on the black stuff, or maybe on the blue and yellow curbing there. As our leaders now come down into the horseshoe, we still have Ryan Maloney sitting in the lead. He's got just about, I'd say about 3 car lengths over Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak, with John Allen just a little bit behind here as they come on to through turn 1 and up the hill.
Yeah, it's some really good battles here for these drivers. Really getting into a rhythm right now, Greg. And then when you get into about 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the race, I mean, then you kind of know what you got and see where you can make some moves, because it's such a short race that you really got to get a good flow.
You got it. All right, so we're watching Keltner in the number 6 car and Charles Bailey a little bit further back. A lap ago, Bailey had a little bit of trouble at the exit of turn 2. Had gone off in the dirt, but looks like he's been given some pressure to Keltner, and Keltner a little, I don't want to call it sloppy, but using a little more curb than I would have expected. And look at this, Bailey gets a great run out of the carousel and has position as they come down towards turn 7. Let's see if he can get it done. As they go through that double apex turn 7, and we have a new 5th place runner. That is Charles Bailey. Gets by Michael Keltner, with Jordy Fike just a little bit back from there. You'll see that there are still a lot of these packs bunched up nose to tail, and we'll see if things start to spread out as time goes on. But after that, the completion of that second lap, a lot of drivers are really running lap times within tenths of a second of one another, in some cases hundredths of a second. Here we go. Avery was talking about that passing opportunity down going into the horseshoe, and looks like the 826 car of Griffith trying to take advantage. Ooh, a couple cars go around. And that was the 25 car of Sam Tully that went around, and I believe up near Tully, I'll have to take a look. I think that might have been Jameson that was near as well.
Yeah, just unfortunate circumstance. Sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time for a couple of drivers, but they're able to get going. We got the 40 that goes around.
Yeah, let's take a look here as they come into that horseshoe. Oh, it's the number 17 car getting into him.
Just a unfortunate circumstance for him.
Yeah, so that
The
again,
race
that
still
was
goes on.
exactly. All right, so that was the number 17 of John Futsal, who had his eye on taking that inside move and unfortunately gave a little tap to the 25 car. All right, so back up, and we're watching Keltner right now, who we saw, of course, right behind Bailey, who had lost position to Bailey a lap before, and Charles Fike now all over the back of Keltner. I said, you know, Keltner looked maybe a little sloppy the last lap, and I think the 09 car of Fike might have something for him.
Yeah, Fike really put on a really good effort up into the 7th position, and you know, time's starting to click away, but he's still in a really good spot to, you know, move up a couple spots.
All right, back to the lead with Ryan Maloney, the 2 Canadians, Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak, and then John Allen. And I've seen John win a number of races here at Sonoma in a few different series. We'll see how things play out for him, but right now it is Ryan Maloney who's got the measure of everybody else here in the Olsen Vest Mazda. I'm sure that'll give Alan Olsen give him something to cheer for. I should have asked Alan what the sponsorship arrangement is when I saw him at Sebring a couple of weeks ago, and never seemed to remember to do that.
Anytime you're at a racetrack within a couple of weeks, definitely at these times, it's really cool. So
yeah,
I'm excited for in a couple of days when I'll be at Daytona. But right now we're here at Sonoma, man. This is some fire racing we got going on. I mean, yeah, you see a lot of nose to tail, but that just means you got a good opportunity to make some passes.
Yeah, and a little bit further in the pack right now, we're watching. We've got the 17 of Vaccaro, and or probably not the 17, the 221 of Vaccaro, along with Evans and Prodden. Great little battle going on there. And actually just ahead, Andrew Rosencroft and Andre Jameson as well. Now, Jameson's dropped 3 positions since the start of the race. I'm sure he's trying to make his way back up. Looks like Chad Griffith in the 826 is the one for the 3 positions that Jameson lost. Griffith made up 3 positions since the start. Oh, and more taps and more banging going down into the the horseshoe. Good camera angle there. Andrew Rosencroft in the number 80 getting caught up with that, and a few other cars. Let's take a look and see if we can pick that up, but I think we're going to see that a lot. Again, it's a prime passing opportunity, and what ends up happening is I think a lot of times, Avery, the driver, the lead driver just doesn't expect that to be coming, cuts down towards the apex, and there's seemingly always a car there.
Yeah, when there's not very many passing opportunities.
Yeah, there you go. And I believe that was the 29, either 29 car or the 28. Might have been Bobby Blankenship in the 28 car that got into him there. Oh, actually, no. I think that, you know what I'm looking at? I think it actually was Andre Jameson, who we had just spoken about a few moments ago, that got caught up in that little battle there. Oh, look at this. Battle for the lead. Zach Burke side by side with Ryan Maloney as they now come through and start, as they make their way through the S's there, through turn 9. And looks as though the other Canadian, Mitchell Peak, wants to get into that fight as well.
He wants a little piece of that action.
So what was I saying about a 1-lane course through the back half of the track? Guess I got that wrong. Let's take a look.
They proved us wrong on that one there, but side by side through the hairpin. There
you go. And so look at this, jump into the lead now. Zach Burke in the number well, for the moment, he was up in the lead there as Burke had the position going down into the horseshoe. He now drops back to second in the number 20 car. Ryan Maloney in the number 15 back in the lead as they crest the hill through turn 2. But there is a change, and that is John Allen in the number 101 car. He gets around Mitchell Peak, so drop Peak now in the number 56 back into 4th position.
Yeah, back to 4th is Peak, and there's still within a handful of a couple seconds of was just about a second between 1st and 4th, and man, this is this is a battle we could see. As you take a look at the mirror, John Allen, and I tell you what, that helmet is really nice. It's got like a little eyes on it. And
yeah, it's a smiley face helmet.
I like it.
All right, here we go, side by side once again, going into turn 7. Our leader Maloney had position, had the car right to drivers, right just where he needed to be to hold on over Zach Burke. But you know, I'll tell you, Avery, after watching that last lap, you know, I think Burke has some ideas of how if he needs to take it to Maloney, you know, going into the final lap, for example, that he might have the moves for him here. He's a little bit further back this time by, but I think if he can stay close, he knows what needs to be done here with just about 7.5 minutes left to go in this 20-minute timed race.
Yeah, he's right in a good spot. I mean, pretty much if you want to be in the lead, but to be honest, with this talented of a crew, if you got drivers behind you, they can make a pass at almost any turn that's semi-passable. So we'll just have to wait and see. You know, like you said, the time is starting to click down. Almost 7 minutes to go left in this main.
Yeah, and with about exactly, with the lap times running about 100, about a minute 45, minute 47. You know, so we're looking at what, probably around 3, possibly 4 more laps here from Sonoma Raceway. We go a little bit further back in the pack, and still great racing all the way through here as we're watching the, I believe what is this? That's Fustel, I think, in the 17 car with Andre Jameson, who we saw before, Vaccaro, Bryce Evans, and Suraj Pradham. Great nose-to-tail racing here as those guys are still going at it as they've been for almost the entire race. Oh, great pass there. Coming down through turn 5.
Yeah, great battles throughout the whole field. And Charles, just the New York club, sitting down in 17th place, and it was a little wide, but you know, here comes a great opportunity for an overtake.
Yeah, and you could see there, just as you mentioned, you know, you try and keep that exit from the carousel as tight as possible. You let the car track out, which, you know, in a momentum type car you would expect the driver to do, but you end up covering so much more pavement, you actually end up losing ground as you make the run up to turn 7.
Well, Burt goes wide.
Yeah, and he was running in 4th at the time. Let's see if we get a view of this as they come now down into the horseshoe. Turns in early. Oh, look at this. And Peak gets into his teammate and puts him around.
Sometimes that happens. I mean, I've been on both ends of a teammate getting into me and me getting into somebody, and you know, it happens. But Burke's still at 4th place, and if he wants to make a charge, he's got to make it now.
Yeah, and you know, he's in 4th, but you know, he's at this point he's got Bailey, Keltner, Fike, and Murphy Nichols right behind. That he's quite a bit off from the lead 3 now, and you know, he could conceivably use the drivers behind him to help to push back up towards the front of the pack, but I'd say they're probably around what, maybe 10-15 car lengths back. So definitely going to be difficult without the benefit of a draft to get back up to that front pack.
Yeah, definitely, like I said, difficult. He's got about 2.5 seconds between him and Allen, who's 3rd. So he's really gonna have to just really put his head down and just try to click off good laps. And he may not catch up to him, but might as well try to get the best lap for the recession. But right now, it's Maloney out in front. He's got a big gap.
Yeah, you can see how that little incident just a lap ago going into the horseshoe here really opened things up for Ryan Maloney. So at this point, it is a 2-car battle for the 2nd step on the podium. Our leader, Ryan Maloney, running off now with over a 3.5 second margin. That is over 20 car lengths. Back to Mitchell Peak, who is running 2nd, and John Maloney. Probably not John Maloney. Let's try that again. John Allen in the 101 car running in 3rd.
Not close, but you know, maybe John Allen, you know, after he ran out of gas last week, maybe he's hoping Maloney can run out of gas this time and maybe get up there and be like, hey, can you have some of my bad luck so we can battle for this win? But you never know.
Yeah, and you can see now here that John Allen pressuring Mitchell Peak, peeking in drivers right as they came into turn 4, peeking to the left as they come into turn 6, and now onto that short chute heading down towards turn 7.
Yeah, Allen's got to be careful where he's going to try to get by, where he's going to peak on Mitchell there.
Yeah, he has to take the long way around. Didn't looked as though he was going to try an over-under there, but just did not give himself quite the gap. Great view here from the nose of John Allen's car, and you can really see how these MX-5s get tossed around going through this portion of the course from turn 7 down to turn 10. As they come through 10 now and go and set up for breaking into the horseshoe. And so the NASCAR, but there are actually 2 different versions of this horseshoe here. The NASCAR boys, when they go and run, they actually will turn in a little bit earlier and have a shorter version of this than what our drivers are running here, going all the way down to the far end. Gives them a little bit better run up towards turn 12, the final corner. But again, kind of hard to make a pass stick coming out of the horseshoe. You really need to do it going in.
Yeah, definitely. You need to get it in. You see Campbell and Lilly battle for 9th right now. And then you got Murphy Nichols right up in front of them. Yeah, you know, NASCAR just kind of made the change to not run the version, of course, they ran for so many years to a style like this. But take a look at Campbell. Really going to have a good opportunity. Probably going into turn number 7. As you see, Lilly goes wide. That's going to cause Campbell Campbell to maybe have a chance to get around him there.
Yeah, let's take a look here as we've got the 37 of Campbell trying to make it up, and he's got good position coming out of turn 6. Maybe pushing a little bit wide, but there we go. Now, if I were him, I would have just, as Cooper Lilly moved over all the way driver's left, I might have tried to stick it up the inside, but figured he'd stay in the draft there.
Most likely, I want to say the leader is taking the white flag, assuming here at Sonoma, and take a look back up too.
No, he's going to take the white flag here in a second here as Ryan Maloney, the number 15 Olsen Vest Mazda Miata or Mazda MX-5, comes through the horseshoe, makes his way over to turn 12, and that our folks on the starter stand hopefully will be holding that white flag in the air. Just under that 20-minute time, and here we go. Yep, one more lap.
Looked like we had contact with Campbell, Nichols, and Lilly. I just saw Campbell go right down the scoring pile and he has towed. Take a look back at the replay.
And once again, the horseshoe. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I don't even know if there was contact there, and I think he probably realized that there would have been contact if he hadn't pulled the car. So we talked about the point system here, you know, paying from 25 points all the way down to 1 for the top 20. There are actually bonus points that can be given that if you have 0 incidents over the course of a race and you finish no more than 1 lap down from our winner, you can get 3 extra points. If you finish with a single incident point and again finish no more than 1 lap down, you get a single bonus point. So I'm sure there are a lot of drivers that are looking to do that. Looks like some of our folks in the top 3 aren't going to do that, but our leader now here, Ryan Maloney, coming down into turn number 10 for the very last time.
Yeah, Maloney put on a really good show his last couple laps after the contact earlier to pull away by 4 seconds, but he maintained the lead and coming on the final turn. He's going to take this one.
Yeah, and it looks like he's taking his time, scrubbing in those tires at the end of the race instead of the beginning. And he comes around the corner, crosses the start-finish line, taking the win. The first race this evening on the Ray Esports Racing League. Your winner tonight, Ryan Maloney, crossing the stripe, finishing second. Mitchell Peak in the number 56 car. Charles Bailey finishes up in third. Then Keltner and Fisk. So the question then becomes, what happened to John Allen? John Allen finishing down in, let's take a look here, in 9th position. Did he run out of fuel again, or did he have an incident on course?
Yeah,
and there's your answer. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, tried to come up the inside and got the tires. We had looked like we had Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak there leading them down into the hairpin. So looked as though the Canadians had gotten back together. I thought that that maybe that gap was insurmountable, but they got back up, and John Allen just unfortunately got into the tires going into the very last turn complex here. He's going to finish 9th.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go for it. I mean, it's a win it or wear it moment. I mean, or get top 3, but just happened to have lucked out on his side for this time around in the Miata.
All right, so hopefully we can get our winner into the commentary booth. We'll give a little bit of an interview. If you take a look here, we got on the screen our final results. As we mentioned, Maloney taking the win, Mitchell Peak finishing second, Charles Bailey, I'm sure he's definitely happy. Bailey made up 3 positions overall, started in 6th, finished in 3rd. Then Michael Keltner. Then Jordy Fike also making up 3 positions. He's going to finish down in 5th, and Murphy Nichols 6th. Cooper Lilly, as we mentioned, John Allen dropping back, then Greg Mack and Steve Ray rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Stevie Ray put on just a really good run for him. You know, he's really quick in the spec race at Ford, but taking home 10th there. And then you got Chad Griffin, John Fustel, Andre Jameson, Raj Prodham, Bryce Evans, Jeffrey Tattersall, Adam Buchanan, and Rich Hammond, the top 18. Take a look at those times on the right side. That just shows you how close these drivers were. I mean, that is just really close. And Stephen Clark and Andrew Wozencroft, Stephen Mioch, James Hodgson, John Casey, Greg Bachway. You got Wayne Buttermore put on a good run. And I always cheer for, I haven't said this yet, Greg, but I like cars with 3-digit numbers. I don't know what it is. And Chris Spiller's rocking a 3-digit 980. And I like that in 28th. But we do have Ryan Maloney here. We'll see if.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right. Ryan Maloney, our winner tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a fun one.
Yeah, it looked like definitely a fun one. You know, I thought it was going to be hard to top what you guys did last week at Road Atlanta. But what was your strategy going into the race tonight?
Just starting from the pole, get a good start, and just try to build a lead. And didn't have too much of a lead the whole race. Zach kind of stayed right there with me. Threw a couple moves on me and was able to hold them off. And then I guess they all got together, so able to break off. Yeah,
I was gonna say I think it was Peak who got up beside you going into turn 7. I think it was lap 3 or there. It was either lap 2 or lap 3, and you managed to hold him off from there. But as you said, the guys sitting right back behind you kind of got together and opened things up for you with just a couple laps to go.
Yeah, the Also Invest machine didn't have as much coming out onto out of that big sweeper. They were able to get up on the inside of me a couple times, but yeah, was able to hold on. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to Alan Olson about getting you more power in that car.
Excellent. All right, well, Ryan, thanks again. Great run, and between your 3rd place finish last week and of course your win this week, I'm sure that's going to put you to the top of the leaderboard in Mazda MX-5. We're going to see you in the Pro Mazda race tonight as well.
I don't have much time in that, so I probably won't show up for that one.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you next week then. And Ryan Maloney, again, congratulations and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was Ryan Maloney, tonight's winner. Do we have anybody else? Any one of our other finishers jumping in?
That's everyone. They're all probably getting ready, hopefully, for this Pro Mazda race coming up.
That's it. All right. So that puts race 1 tonight on the eSports Racing League in the books. Next up is going to be the Pro Mazda Formula Cars. And we'll be back with you in just a few moments for that 20-minute race.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
All right, and we're back with the Ray Esports Spring Tour, the Ray Esports Racing League from Sonoma Raceway. We just had a great race in Mazda MX-5, and next up, the Pro Mazda. So it's Mazda night here, Avery.
Oh, I love Mazda night. Anytime you got a Pro Mazda or the little Mazda Miata, it's always some fun racing. And you know, we had a really good race, the Miata here at Sonoma. Now we have the Pro Mazda, a little more, got open wheel cockpit. This is different what we've ran last week with the SRF, the Spec Racer Ford. So I'm excited to see some of these drivers that are pulling off double duty, because this is a completely different car.
Yeah, this is something that drives very differently, and obviously a little different in what you have to do for setup. Now the Pro Mazdas, as you can see here, this is based on the second generation Pro Mazda cars. They use the Mazda Renesis rotary engine with a 6-speed sequential transmission, and they run about a little over 1,100 pounds, so much lighter, obviously, than a Mazda MX-5. And you have a lot of things to worry about here besides suspension setup, setting angles of the front and rear wings to and especially for a track like Sonoma, do you go and base your setup on a low drag setup to try and get a little bit of extra speed on these very short straights, or do you really set it up for some additional downforce so you can carry more speed through the corners? And that's something that these drivers will all have to figure out. But right now we're 5 minutes into the 15-minute qualifying session, and as we said, this is going to be the first weekend for the Pro Mazdas on the Ray Esports Racing League. Last week we had Spec Racer Ford, and I didn't let you know who won Spec Racer Ford, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of the same drivers here in the Pro Mazdas that raced in Spec Racer Ford last week. Caleb Patry took the win last week in the initial running for Spec Racer Ford. Steve Ray, who we just saw in Spec Miata finish 10th, he finished on the second step of the podium. David Schwartz finished in third. As you can see here, so far in 5 minutes into qualifying, David Schwartz is currently your third fastest driver in the Pro Mazda, so he's nothing if not consistent. Jeff Miner finished fourth, Greg Mack, Chad Griffith, Sam Tully, Bryce Evans, Kareem Hussein, and Michael Inocencio rounded out the top 10 in Spec Racer Ford. And much like the Spec Racer Ford race last week, this Pro Mazda race is brought to you by RaceVoice. You can find out more information about RaceVoice at www.racevoice.com. But I can tell you right off the bat, they have a great system for your physical race car that it can take information directly from your data acquisition system and in real time give you audio feedback to let you know where you stand, not where you stand on track itself. Oh, a little bit of a wreck there in qualifying, but will tell you where you can be faster, if you are shifting suboptimally or not, and where you can pick up speed. They also have a service for the sim racer, so definitely check them out at www.racevoice.com.
Oh yeah, I checked them out last week, and yeah, it's got a really good service for all kinds of sim racers, real racers. I mean, it's always good to see more real race car stuff go into the sim race world. So
yeah,
anytime you see that, it's, in my opinion, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, without a doubt, and to be able to, in looking at what they do with the real race cars, it's basically sitting between your either AIM data acquisition system or your Motec system, being able to grab data off that stream before it goes to the dashboard, and then be able to, in real time, analyze that data and spit voice back to you to let you know where you can get faster. Really, really neat. And then to apply all of that, again, in real time to a sim is pretty spectacular. So, I don't know if we've got any racers using their product right now, but definitely something if you are looking to get faster with your iRacing, or, again, if you have a real race car sitting in the garage, and, for most of the nation, those seasons are just now starting to pick up. Go check them out, give them a try. Alrighty, so we are taking a look now. We are a little bit more than halfway through the 15-minute qualifying session here for the Pro Mazdas, and Evan Rackison is currently your fastest driver on track with a lap time of a 1:24.951. If you look to the timing pylon on your left, you can really see the exact same thing that I'm telling you. But Rackison, currently fastest driver, just about half a second back from there, which is pretty substantial here at Sonoma Raceway. We saw how close the Mazda MX-5s were to one another, going all the way back to 20th position, to be half a second up on the lead and up on Dylan Christie. Pretty amazing right now, and I believe Rackison has brought his car back to the pits. David Schwartz, as we mentioned, finished third in last week's Spec Racer Ford race. He is your third fastest driver right now. He's about a quarter of a second back from Dylan Christie. Kareem Hussein in fourth. Caleb Patry, who was your Spec Racer Ford winner last week, is your fifth fastest driver, and we're showing him as having bailed out of iRacing, so hopefully we'll have him back in the car in time for the race. I'm sure he's probably getting a water break.
I know I took a little water break in between races. I don't know about you, but I really like these cars.
Yeah, this is going to be good. You know, again, I was surprised to see how much side-by-side racing there was on the back half of this 12-turn, 2.5-mile Sonoma course during the Mazda MX-5 race. You know, we'll have to see if the Formula cars, I mean, they're a little bit more narrow than the Mazdas are, or than the MX-5s were. So there's certainly the opportunity. There's the physical space for them to get side by side. But you know, we'll have to see if these drivers choose to do that. Obviously, you won't have the fender banging that we saw in the MX-5 race, because with the Formula cars, that'll send you flying. Yeah, it should make for an interesting race as things are starting to tighten up just a little bit. You know, again, Rackison still has that half a second margin back to Dylan Christie, but you know, if you start looking from fourth position from the outside of the second row, Kareem Hussein, all the way back now to eighth position, so about 2-3 rows, all within just about a tenth of one another. That should make for some very close racing once we go to green flag.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we got Evans out front by half a second, but once you go from second place all the way down to eighth or ninth or 10th, really, with Burke, I mean, it's about a half second to 6/10 of a second in between, but that still gives you a chance. If you're Burke, you're like a 2 to 3 tenths slower, that you might be able to pick up some time in the pack, because at the beginning of the race, your times aren't going to be your quick times, so that's one thing to keep in mind. So as long as you give yourself a good starting spot, you can be at striking distance for a really good finish.
And that reminds me that this is one of those things, and I'm seeing a lot of drivers that were in that Mazda MX-5 race jump over into the Pro Mazdas. We've got Chad Griffith, we've got Zach Burke, who of course we just saw finish on the podium, Steve Ray, Andrew Wozencroft in the 80 car, who we saw just a few moments ago. I think Dylan Christie as well. I guess one of the things is, you go out in that Mazda MX-5 and you know how the car handles and how long it takes for those tires to get up the temp right out of the gate, and you kind of get a feeling for what that initial pace can be, how hard you can push the car. It's going to be very, very different in these Formula Pro Mazdas, and it'll be interesting for me at least to see if the drivers attack those first 2 laps maybe a little bit differently here in the Formula cars, and if it actually bites any of them because maybe they push a little too hard, because I know it's probably going to take a little bit longer for these tires to get up the temp.
Yeah, you definitely want to get those tires warmed up, and because if you go out there with the cold tires and you start pushing it like right away, you're just not going to get time, so you really want to get so the tires are getting warmed up a little bit, and sometimes your second lap, that's your quick time, so you just try to go out there, put on a good pace, and you see what you can get. You see Brandon Abbott 12th, and there's Caleb Patry, who's doing a really good job with that 126.326, and that's It's a good time getting them real close up to the top 5, and I don't know about you.
Very consistent.
I'd like to start in the top 6. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could be in the top 3 rows, without a doubt. You know, and again, how this track normally plays out, you know, certainly you don't want to have to try and fight your way to the front from any further back than that. It will also be interesting as we're now with just about a minute and a half left in qualifying here, that I'm looking back to that Mazda MX-5 race where the front end of the field was already strung out and single file by the time they came through turn 12. It was really, you know, if this was, you know, I'll just say it, if it was a Sports Car Club of America race or a NASA race or any one of these other organizations, and the starter saw the field coming through turn 12 like that, they probably would have waved off the start. Now, we know that's not going to happen in iRacing, hint, hint. But you know, it was it really put some people on the back foot, because instead of starting side by side with somebody, they were already, you know, a full car length back.
Yeah, that kind of helped, I think, Maloney get that win kind of a little bit. Is he able to get a really good start? When the times are that close, you have to get a good start. And sometimes it's timing when you press down that gas pedal all the way to the floor. You know, that'll make a big difference. Yeah,
exactly. So we'll see if the Formula Car drivers, and we have now just about 15 seconds left before the checkered flag flies here to end qualifying. We'll see what these Formula Car drivers in the first 3 rows can do, because, you know, again, you know, starting the first 3 rows is going to give you a good opportunity to win, but you know, that's if you're side by side as opposed to literally being 6 cars deep in a line as you go into turn 1 for the very first time. All right, so the checkered flag is out. Last flying laps will count. Right now we're sitting on Evan Rackison is sitting on a 124.95. He set that very early in the qualifying session. He's still up half a second. Dylan Christie is not on track. So it is up to David Schwartz, who's currently your 3rd fastest driver, and who we're watching right now as he comes through the horseshoe for the very last time in qualifying, to see if he can get himself onto the front row here. And Schwartz, he turns a 126.9. That is almost, actually a little bit more than a full second off of his fastest lap time. So he is, it looks like he's probably going to stay put in 3rd position. We have a couple drivers still out on course. Daniel Satilli in the 112 car, I believe he just finished up. He was one of the last drivers still on a flying lap. He's going to start 6th. And I believe maybe Joaquin Effinger in the number 700 car is our only driver remaining on track trying to set a fast lap. He's currently sitting 18th with a fast lap of a 131.01. He's got to make up almost 2.5 seconds to leapfrog Charles Vaccaro in the number 221 car.
Yeah, I got 21 drivers that put down qualifying time. The only one that hasn't made it out yet is Don Manning, so that makes it 22 drivers, which we kind of knew. Usually the Pro Mazda doesn't have as big of a field as Miata is, because the Miata is such a popular car. It's one of the more popular cars on the service.
Yeah, and as you just saw, Joaquin Effinger, he spins the car over at turn 7. So looks like, and he may take the car all the way back to the pits, but he is definitely not going to improve on his 18th position. All right, so let's get ready now for race 2. Hey, and if you want, Avery, I will be more than happy to start running down the grid here.
We'll let you take the start down. I do have the oxygen ready, so if I did hit the whole thing, I'm ready to go right after. Right. But Greg.
Very cool. All right, so starting on your front row here today in Pro Formula Mazda, Evan Rackison with a fast lap of 124.951. Starting beside him on the outside pole will be Dylan Christie. Row 2, David Schwartz and Kareem Hussein. Row 3, Caleb Patry and Dan Satilli. Row 4, Tyler Campbell and Jeff Miner. That would be row 5, Andrew Abbott and Zach Burke. Row 6 will be Chad Griffith and Andrew Benna. And then starting 11th will be, starting 13th will be Brandon Abbott with Steve Ray starting 14th. Then Aaron Botnick and Andrew Wozencroft, 15th and 16th. Charles Vaccaro and Joaquin Effinger, 17th and 18th. Then Sean Foes and John Casey, 19th and 20th. Wayne Buttermore and Don Manning will take the last row, 21st and 22nd. As we get ready for our pace lap, and look at this, we're waiting for our pole sitter to show up and put that car on grid, and there he is. So we should have the pace lap here starting in just a moment as Evan Rackison appears for all to see.
Yeah, just waiting on Vaccaro and hopefully Don Manning get in the car, make that 22 drivers total. We've got about 20 seconds till iRacing will make them start rolling. But yep, 22 cars total here for another main event, Sonoma.
There we go. So, you know, it's funny, Avery, I mentioned on the Open before our Miata race, before our MX-5 race, that, you know, that here the racing here at Sonoma is wild and it's woolly, and the sheep even cut your grass. Little interesting tidbit about Sonoma Raceway is the track, like a lot of the tracks in California, nestled up into the mountains here in Sonoma wine country. And the mountainside here, as opposed to, as you can see, a whole bunch of the area, the runoff here, which is, and we talked about this earlier, is just nothing but dirt alongside of the track, dust and dirt. Going up the mountains is a lot of grass. And rather than going out and actually having a staff to cut the grass here at Sonoma Raceway, they have the Rocky Mountain Woolly Weeders. It's an organization that has about 4,000 sheep. And they unleash those sheep onto the mountains right over there at Sears Point. And they spend all day cutting grass for seemingly nothing. It's pretty wild and woolly when you're out there and you just see, you know, a mountainside full of nothing but sheep. But that's what you can see quite often at Sonoma Raceway. Great, you know, cute little aside there, and that's probably the last time I'll mention wool or sheep or something, probably all season long.
Yeah, but great tidbit though.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a fact that probably most people don't know, and everybody watching is like, hey, when I get to some Sonoma fun facts, and I've got some good facts that never comes up on a trivia question. So
you got it. Now you can tell them about the woolly weeders there, and keeping the grass cut behind all those bleachers and what have you at Sonoma Raceway. All right, so we've got the Porsche 911 pace car bringing our pole sitter, Evan Rackison, along with Dylan Christie, who's going to be on the outside pole, down now through turns 9 and 10. And you know, already they're looking like they're formed up a heck of a lot better than we saw from the Mazda MX-5. So, you know, we'll see here as they come through as they come down and around the horseshoe. You know, and again, it's kind of tough because you've got those short little runs, and if you don't get gridded up ahead of time, you get caught out like those MX-5 racers did. But now as the pace car heads down the pit lane, and Evan Rackison in the number 46 car leads Dylan Christie around. They are very well formed up, although it looks like Rackison getting on the throttle awfully early, and well, maybe they're not so well gridded up as the green flag flies, Avery, and our drivers now make their way up the hill, 120 feet to turn 2 for the very first time.
Yeah, you need to get a good start. Rackison did. Definitely, you don't want to go side by side turn number 1. If you're in the lead, you want to be able to set sail. Hope the guys behind you are side by side, as it's a half-second gap, first and second. Take a look at Tyler Campbell here, sitting in the 7th position, getting very, very close to Daniel in that 112. Like I said earlier, I like the 3-digit numbers.
There you go. Well, I was going to say another driver well, it's hard to miss him. Not a 3-digit number, only a 2-digit number, but Andrew Benna, as I saw him in qualifying and at the start of this race, he's in like that green tartan car, and I swear I need glasses or something after watching this car because my eyes just completely bug out every time you might see that car go around. But our leaders now making their way down through the S's. It is Evan Rackison still in the lead with Dylan Christie running second. Schwartz, who finished third just a week ago at Road Atlanta, and Caleb Patry fourth. But here we go as our leaders now, and there's that battle for third coming down into the horseshoe for the very first time as Rackison and Christie have stretched things out over that battle between Schwartz and Patry. And here we go, side by side, coming out of the horseshoe.
Yeah, Schwartz able to make a good run on Patry out of the horseshoe. We'll see if he's going to be able to maintain that gap. And you know, and honestly, with Rackison and Christie kind of already a half second ahead, take the opportunity to make the pass. I mean, really,
yeah.
I mean, when you have an opportunity in a 20-minute race at this track, you just got to go for it.
You gotta get it done because you don't know when you're going to have that opportunity again. Oh, shooting off, heading off track. I think that was Kareem Hussein in the 777. And we've got a lot of drivers off. Andrew Benno, who I just talked about a moment ago, he went off. There's that 777 car. Trying to get himself back out on track. Let's go back and we'll take a quick look here.
It looked like maybe Stevie Ray was also involved in that 11.
Yeah, as they crested up over the top of turn 2 and just looked like he might have dropped the wheel and went off, and then a couple other cars decided to join him. You know, if you turn in a little early there for turn 2, it's not hard to drop a wheel, and the car is still rotating as you go from very quickly rising up the hill to dropping back down, and the rear end will get very loose as our leaders now, Evan Rackison and Dylan Christie, come into the horseshoe towards the end of their second lap. Now, if you remember in qualifying, Rackison was almost a half a second faster than Dylan Christie. Well, wouldn't you know, after one lap, Rackison was a half second faster. And now as they cross the stripe, the gap is once again just about a half a second separating those two drivers.
Yeah, just a little under a tenth of a second quicker was Rackison over Christie on that first lap, as you see on the scoring scoring tower on the left side. Once numbers that slide up, that's the time that they just ran. So keep an eye on those for those of you that are watching, that you can really see what times they're running in, see how they're doing against their competitors that are either ahead of them or behind them, or as in Rackison's case, all behind them.
All behind, exactly. And so we've been watching, and just back from our two leaders, actually once you get past our top 4, great battles going on between Dan Satilli, Zach Burke, Tyler Campbell, Jeff Miner, Chet, and even back to Chad Griffith in 9th. That most of those drivers you can see now as they're making their way down through the S's here, pretty much nose to tail. You know, a little bit different in a Formula car. You're not necessarily going to want to get up right on the back of the car ahead, as you see in the Mazda MX-5s, or at least you're not going to want to run that way for a long period of time, because you tend to have the dirty air wash over the front, and the nose of the car can start to wash out just a little bit here. As we've got that battle now for 6th, heading down into the horseshoe, and a little move there by I believe that was actually Campbell, who really turned in early for the horseshoe there. But back now on screen here with Zach Burke, who we just saw a few moments ago in that Mazda MX-5 race, finished on the podium for the 2nd week in a row.
Yeah, take a look at the last time Christie was able to get the personal best, the race best, just under a tenth of a second quicker than Rackison there, but Evan was able to kind of pull away a little bit in that first sector. Take a look at the nice battle for the lead. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good to see Christie able to run that, best
exactly.
lap.
I was very concerned that we might see, more or less just a walk away from Rackison, and Christie is definitely keeping him honest now as they make their way, and we're on lap number 4 of this 20-minute race.
Yeah, Dylan's able to maintain striking distance. You really need the toe here. I'm an open wheel guy, so I call it the toe. So
no,
but I like how Dylan's running, really putting in some good laps, and it's only lap 4 with 5.5 minutes or so into this 20-minute race, but he's still there. I know I probably would have said, he's probably not going to be that close, because a half-second difference,
Yeah,
he's close.
I think the challenge is going to be maintaining focus, and I always find when I'm behind the wheel, and not in iRacing because, you know, I tell everybody I'm absolutely horrible with simulators. But in the real world, you know, I need that rabbit ahead of me to chase after. And I find that I stay much more focused that way. I'd rather race from behind than race from the lead. There as we have Tyler Campbell in the 37 car. I think that's the second time we've seen him go off there at the exit of turn 2, but he gathers it back up and doesn't lose a lot of ground to Zach Burke just ahead of him.
Yeah, it's a tough track. I mean, it's just a very tough track here at Sonoma. I mean, definitely 1 and 2, you've seen him go off, and then, you know, 7, this double apex turn, as you see him go through right now, is a very tough turn because you need to get a good exit to go through the curves. I mean, it's a tough track.
Yeah, you know, and sure, the straights that you have here very short, so you don't have, you know, really the ability to all the time to be able to, if you get a good run out of a corner, to use that extra speed that you might have. You know, but the challenge here, and this is actually one place where you can get that good run because you've got a longer straight, and moving now down under braking into the horseshoe is the number 37 car of Tyler Campbell. He gets around Zach Burke now as we now head into lap number 7. You know, but much as we've seen with these drivers going off at turn 2, the changes in elevation are something here that a lot of drivers, they just, you know, they're not necessarily prepared for. You have a lot of blind corners, you know, where you have a blind exit, you know, but when you have a rise at the start of a corner and things very quickly drop off, if you've got a little bit too much steering cranked in a corner, it can definitely unsettle the car. You know, things are a lot different with the Formula cars here, obviously, because you have the aerodynamic downforce. You've got those wings, you've got those side pods that maybe you don't have in the closed wheel car like the Mazda MX-5s. You know, but it really requires you to anticipate what's coming up ahead of you and adjust for it very quickly.
Speaking of blind corners, you know where we're at next week, right?
Absolutely. We'll call it madness. We're at Mid-Ohio next week, and we're going to see the Pro Mazdas again next week at Mid-Ohio, and we're going to see the return of the Spec Racer Fords. And it should be a great week. I love how Mid-Ohio races. You know, and again, that's one of those tracks where, you know, seemingly the changes in elevation never stop there, and madness, I think, is a prime example of it there. So it'll definitely be some great racing.
Yeah, we got some great racing now with Pastor and Schwartz, the battle for the final spot on the podium. I know Patry wants it, taking a little bit different line than Schwartz did. Schwartz gets off track, and Patry able to make the overtake.
Yep, there we go. Just takes it, and happened so quickly there as he went off, and you could see that he just got out of the throttle to try and save the car, and Patry very quick to undercut him and drives right on by.
That's
but here we go again. Move. Yeah.
I mean, it could have easily been a crash there, but able to have that awareness that, hey, I can't get around him and not run into the back of him. I probably would have hit him.
All right, here we go. We've got Schwartz, we've got Patry in that battle for third. We've got Satilli in the battle as well in the 112 car, very close behind. And so this is a great battle going on as we watch here for the battle for the last step on the podium. Our two leaders have, I think, really checked out, but still very close up front. So let's continue to watch this battle for third now as they come down into the horseshoe and now try to sneak underneath is David Schwartz, but not quite close enough, Avery, to really make that a serious attempt for a pass there.
Yeah, just past the halfway point here at Sonoma, and you know, nice thing about being the driver that's second in line or even third in line of this pack, which is Satilli, and it's to see if you can make an overtake somewhere, if maybe cutting underneath in that hairpin to see if you can get a good run out of the corner. It didn't work this time, but you might try something else next time, and it gives you a chance to see what move you need to make when it gets to a couple more laps and we get so close to the end of the race. So
absolutely,
it was a good attempt.
Yeah, I think so. You know, again, I think he was a little too far back, but the point that, you know, the fact that he actually stuck the nose in, I guarantee you that if he can, you know, make up another car length or 2 car lengths, Patri's going to be thinking about it the next time they go into the horseshoe over turn 11. But Satilli might not give Schwartz the opportunity here, because Satilli now in the number 112 car, really giving Schwartz a run for his money here and starting to put the pressure on him. That what that's doing is it's actually allowing Caleb Patry to stretch things out and really cement that 3rd place.
Yeah, Patry starting to, you know, pull away a little bit. Satilli, he's got to make a move on Schwartz. If he thinks he's faster than him, I mean, you got to make a move. You see the cone go flying there, but the damage model doesn't pick that up. So yeah, if Satilli thinks he's quicker than Schwartz and can make a pass and try to catch up to Patry, he should go for it. Back up to the lead with Rakusin and Dylan Christie. And if you would have said 12 minutes into this race that they'd be nose to tail, I'd be like, all right, nope, probably not going to happen. But Christie's putting on a fantastic run.
Yeah, I would have never expected that. He is doing a great job there, making or keeping Evan Rakusin, keeping him honest. I'll tell you, just mentioning back to that battle a little bit further back between Patry, Schwartz, and Satilli, I did notice that last time that they went through the horseshoe, that Satilli had a bit of push in the front end of that car. He had a similar line going in there as did Schwartz, but a little bit of a push. He may have been driving the wheels off of that car. We'll have to see if he can stay close as the race unfolds. But here we are with the leaders in this race: Evan Rakusin in the 46, Dylan Christie in the white number 22, and you know, if anything, Dylan's gotten a little bit closer. About 3 laps ago, he was about a half a second back, and he's keeping. Not only is he keeping it close, you can see there a little bit of brake lockup. Thought he was close enough to attempt to pass there, and yeah, he is. As long as he can stay close and in contention, and he doesn't waste the equipment with moves like that, I think Rakusin's definitely got something to worry about, as we have just about 7 minutes left in this 20-minute race.
Yeah, sometimes it's really nice to be that car in second. I like to be the car in second when I give the opportunity, but whenever I'm leading, I'm kind of nervous a little bit, so you never know Rakusin could be what the nerves are going to feel, because I'm coming into this race like I'm going to have a second quicker in qualifying. I mean, I should be able to kind of pull away a little bit, but, you know, hasn't been the case so far. As we take a look at Jeff Miner and Andrew Abbott, really good run here for both those drivers, sitting in 8th and 9th and really clicking off some good laps, and really great battles throughout the whole entire field.
Yeah, and a little bit further back from actually right back there, what we're watching right now on screen, Jeff Miner and Tyler Campbell. Tyler Campbell in that blue and yellow number 37, and then right back from there, Jeff Miner, very close as they start to make their way through traffic.
Yeah, I had the wrong name. I just put the glasses on, and they quite weren't reading correctly. You know, that's the bad thing with having poor vision. But there's Jeff Miner around in the 281, and that no front wing. Sometimes have less downforce a little quicker, but not this case.
Yeah, he got the entrance of turn 7, that double apex left-hander, all wrong, and puts the car into the wall. I would suspect if he can get through this lap, he's probably going to bring the car into the pits, get that one fast repair that he's allowed, and see if he can continue. But unfortunately now that battle for 7th with Tyler Campbell is now done. As we go back to our leaders, Evan Rakusin and Dylan Christie, we're watching right out the back of our leader. And you can see as Dylan Christie taking some very different lines than our leader through a good portion of this 2.5-mile 12-turn Sonoma Raceway course. And you see here as they enter the carousel, as Rakusin takes a much wider set and kind of the rim shot around the outside of the carousel there. And, I'd say maybe carried a little bit less speed through there as they come into turn 7. And this is the area, Avery, where I think Dylan Christie might have the measure of our leader through this turn 7 through 11, that he typically ends up making up a little bit of ground here.
Yeah, looking at the timing and scoring, it pretty much looks like Christie's always been just a little bit faster in the that final sector, but he goes off track and wide into the kitty litter, and he's able to save it, but loses a second of time. And that's exactly what Rakusin wanted to see, because he's got a second half gap and 4 minutes-ish to go. So that's what he wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Christie came out of turn 10, which is that the turn that brings you right behind the drag strip tower, and it's really deceiving when you watch it here on our broadcast. It's a very high speed corner, and there's not a lot of grip there. And so if you turn in early, what happens is you get a little push. Car goes off into the dirt, and he was very lucky there as the retaining wall, which comes back towards the track. He managed to gather it back up and get on the pavement before hitting that wall. So he's still pretty. He's got a pretty good advantage over Caleb Patry in the battle for second. So unfortunately, it may hurt his chances for the win, but still a great battle going on as we jump back now to that battle between Satilli and David Schwartz. This is the battle for fourth, and Satilli's still not giving up the ghost here as they come down into turn 7.
Yeah, Satilli puts in a good send on Schwartz, and he's like, I think I'm a little bit quicker, and there's Patry right in front of him, so he needs to get on the hammer if he wants to get that final spot on the podium. Nice move by Satilli, driver of the Michigan club, putting on a really good effort.
Yeah, that was a great move, and just a couple minutes ago I thought that Satilli might have had a little bit of push and might have been running the equipment down, but he hung tough and moves now up to fourth, and looks like he's got Caleb Patry in his sights. Let's take a look here as they come through the horseshoe. And that time let's take a look as they cross the stripe, and we'll try and get the lap times here. But I think Satilli definitely the faster of the three. That last time by, a 1:26.22 for Satilli. Patry only about 4/10 off, but 4/10 on this course, it's a lot. And you can see now Satilli all over the back of Caleb Patry as they now make their way out of turn 2 down the hill. And Satilli playing it kind of safe, gets a late turn in at turn 2. You can see he had a lot of pavement left there, driver's left, but Patry rear end gave a little bit of a wiggle, and he gave up a little bit more ground as they make their way now down through the carousel.
Yeah, last lap Satilli was just under a 1/10 of a second quicker than Patry, so really showing some speed, but he's got the toe, he's got some help, gets through turn 7 at double apex, needs to get a good corner exit here. Looks like he might have gone just a little bit wide, but yeah, still able in good striking distance. He wants that final spot on the podium.
Yeah, so we've got just about a minute and a half left in this 20-minute race. We'll have to see how things play out. The lap times have been right in the 1:25 range. So we may, as we're at about just about 18:40, we may have, depending on, we would have already had Rackison and Christie cross the stripe, so probably 1, possibly 2 laps left to go here. I would suspect probably 2 more laps to go here in this 20-minute timed race.
Yeah, Satilli putting on a push, trying to get by Patry. He's in striking distance, and if I was him, he wants to see the white flag coming this time by instead of seeing the checkered. So just have to keep an eye on where Rackison is, because if he crosses that line with time left on the clock,
we'll have one more up. And there we go.
Gap.
Our great producer bringing up that's Dennis Branch bringing up the track map so we can see exactly where our leader is on track, and you can see now as he's making his way out of the carousel. Let's see here. Now you also notice in this 3-car battle, David Schwartz, he had a lot of brake lockup coming through turn 2. He had come right up onto the back of Patry and Satilli, and that brake lockup dropped him back a couple more car lengths and out of the battle here as that battle for third makes its way through the S's. And there's our leader, Evan Rackison.
We're gonna get the checkered here.
Yep, there we go. So we are on the very last lap as Evan Rackison takes the win here in Pro Mazda. Dylan Christie finishing in second, and now we've got that battle for third as they come through, and Satilli runs very wide, coming through the horseshoe for the very last time. That gives Caleb Patry a little bit of breathing room as they come through turn 12, and taking the last step on the podium is Caleb Patry. Daniel Satilli will finish 4th. David Schwartz will finish 5th, and then we've got Zach Burke, Tyler Campbell, and we drop back then to Chad Griffith, Brandon Abbott, and we're watching a little bit further back. We've got the battle going on right now with Stevie Ray in the number 11 car and Jeff Miner in the 281. Just ahead of them is Kareem Hussein in the 777. Well, let's watch this battle now. This is for 12th.
Yeah, Stevie Ray and Miner both had some issues early in the race, but able to get back out there and take a look at Miner's car. That front wing is just very damaged, so they're able to drive through with that car and really put on a good run. I mean, when you damage one of these cars, Greg, you're kind of donezo.
Yeah, I was going to say it really affects the handling at the front of the car, and he did a yeoman's job there, keeping up with Stevie Ray. Great battle there, as we saw for Ray to finish in 12th, and Jeff Miner right behind. So let's go and take a look here, as we have just a few cars left across the stripe. We do have a few that called it a day a little bit early. But let's see here if we can get the final rundown. There we go. All right, so taking the win with a margin of just about 1.7 seconds is Evan Rackison in the number 46 car. Dylan Christie will finish in second. Caleb Patry rounds out the top three. Then Dan Santilli finishes fourth. David Schwartz fifth. Zach Burke, who we saw finish on the podium just a few moments ago in the Mazda MX-5 race, he will finish sixth. Tyler Campbell seventh. Andrew Abbott will finish eighth. Chad Griffith ninth. Brandon Abbott will finish in 10th. And if we take a look here, finishing 11th, Kareem Hussein, then that battle we were watching with Steve Ray and Jeff Miner, Andrew Wozencroft, Charles Vaccaro, Sean Foes, Andrew Botnick, Joaquin Effinger, and then rounding out our finishers, John Casey, Wayne Buttermore, Andrew Bana, who unfortunately, after that wreck coming out of turn 2, looked like his day was done, finishes 12 laps down in 21st, and Don Manning will finish 22nd.
Yeah, we got our winner. He's here in the booth, Greg.
All righty. Yep, we do have Evan Rackison, driver of the number 46 car. Congratulations, Evan. Why don't you tell us what your strategy was going into today's race?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, you know, this is one of those tracks where there's a couple opportunities to pass, but it's generally follow the leader. So if you can get a quick quali and kind of get out front and stay out front, then that's plan A.
Yeah, there you go. Well, plan A definitely worked for you. To be brutally honest, we were kind of surprised that Christie put up a fight for as long as he did. I think he had half a second on him in qualifying, but that gap didn't show. He was able to stay up with you. He had I think an issue going down into the horseshoe with a couple of laps to go, but you ran a very consistent, strong race the entire way.
Thanks.
So.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I was running in practice with Dylan, and great race to him. And he showed some great pace in practice and was actually faster than me in practice. So I'm surprised that he maybe just didn't get lucky on qualifying. And then, you know, as we kind of talked about, it's a little hard to pass around here. So
Yeah, absolutely excellent. Well, great racing, Evan, and it's good to see you again after seeing you on the eSports Super Tour over the summer. And welcome to the Ray Esports Racing League. Hopefully we'll see you again. I hope we'll see you next week at Mid-Ohio.
thanks a lot, guys. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Again, that's Evan Rackison, our winner tonight in Pro Mazda. Thanks for joining us, Evan. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, what a great run by him. We got Caleb Patry here. Caleb, man, that was a tough battle for the final spot on the podium. Can you take us through those last couple laps?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, that's for sure. It was fun racing there with David and Daniel. They were pretty much on my butt the whole race, keeping me honest. I just knew I had to run consistently and not make mistakes. So I could see Daniel got close there on the front straight, but I was just able to hold my line through one and thankfully pull out enough of a gap where he couldn't catch me.
Yeah, I think one thing I was going to say during the broadcast, and when you're sitting in a position like you were with, you know, a couple drivers behind you, with a timed race, you don't know if the white flag is going to come out because you don't really know where the leader is, and kind of got lucky on there because they're coming to that checker, and it was really late in the timing. So I just wanted to point that out, but to kind of take us through how this Pro Mazda handles for, you know, an open wheel car here at Sonoma, which is in my opinion a very tough track. So how was the car handling for you?
Yeah, indeed, it is a tough track. I personally just could not get the car dialed in all race long. It just seemed to had a bit of understeer the whole way. Other than that, really with the elevation change, you really have to be careful on when you apply the throttle, because if you apply it too early, especially going over a crest, you're going to end up spinning out or spinning the rear tires and losing control. So it's tricky, but just happy to be able to survive.
Are we going to see you next week at Mid-Ohio?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Mid-Ohio is such a fun track. It's one of my favorite tracks to race. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, certainly I'd like to thank Steve Ray for putting this all together, as well as RaceVoice for sponsoring this event.
Yeah, such great people at RaceVoice for coming on board for this series. Well, Caleb, we'll see you next week at Mid-Ohio.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
What a drive by him, Greg.
Yeah, that was a great run to hold off Satilli and Schwartz, and of course Evan Rex, and a great run as well this evening in Pro Mazda. As you mentioned, Avery, next week we are going to be at the virtual Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in beautiful Lexington, Ohio, and that course. Very similar length, lots of elevation changes, but it races very, very differently than here at Sonoma, and I definitely am looking forward to it. We're going to have the Pro Mazdas return, and we are then going to also have the Spec Racer Fords. Again, the Mazda MX-5s, they're going to take the week off, but it should be a great time nonetheless. Want to, of course, thank you, Avery, for a great time tonight and for sitting in the booth with me, and of course, the wonderful Dennis Branch, our producer, showing you all the great photos, all the great camera angles to bring the racing action to you here on the Ray Esports Racing League. And of course, then our sponsors, RaceVoice. You can find out more about their products at racevoice.com, and Driver61. Find out about their driver coaching services at driver61.com.
We got one more guy, Greg.
Oh my God, where they come from?
We got Dylan Christie. We got to have Dylan here. Thank you, Greg.
There we go. All right, Dylan Christie, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us here, and congratulations on your second place finish tonight in Pro Mazda. Why don't you give us a little rundown of your race? We were a little surprised, and I think Evan was a little surprised with the margin that he had in qualifying on you, but you definitely kept him honest through the majority of the race.
Thanks. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we sure can.
Good. Yeah, that was a fun one. I've been looking back at qualifying to see what happened there. Maybe just didn't get a lap in. You know how qualifying goes, but
Yeah.
I was overall happy with my pace. I mean, that's a tough car, maybe one of the toughest cars on the sim, and track's not a whole lot easier either. So I was just happy with my pace, and it's so hard to pass on this type of track. Might as well be a street circuit.
Yeah.
But put up a good fight, I think. Evan was pretty quick and didn't put any wheels wrong, so hard to pass in those conditions. But I was happy with the race as a whole.
Yeah, I would say it was a great battle. I was so sorry to see you go off coming out of turn 10. What happened over there? Just turn in a little bit early, or a little bit of push in the car?
Yeah, so I reviewed the video. I just turned in a little early, but I think part of that is it's just with that aero wash, when you're trying to run so close, seeing if you can at least make an attempt for the lead. It's a little hard not to make mistakes, and I'm happy that I only made a small mistake. But when you're driving 100%, because I wasn't really conserving a whole lot. I was kind of just trying to go 100% the whole time to maybe have a chance. So to only put one wheel off, I don't think it was. I think it could have been worse.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And and again, you both of you had built up a substantial enough margin that obviously it didn't hurt you in the overall standings. So, Dylan, you have anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Well, thank you to my race team, Turn 3. I'm racing USF 2000 with them this season. They've been helping me get up to speed with the sim driving, and thank you to Stylo, who helps us out with our helmet stuff. And thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is Dylan Christie, finished second tonight in Pro Mazda. Thanks, Dylan. All right, so let's try this again. I think this is the second week in a row where I've kind of jumped on trying to get us out of here a little bit early. But again, want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Again, we'll be at Mid Ohio next week, and thanking our great sponsors, RaceVoice and Driver61. You can find them at racevoice.com and driver61.com. Thanks once again to our great producer, Dennis Branch, and Avery, as always, for joining me here in the announce booth and keeping me honest and making sure that I only talk about sheep once every year. All right, so for Avery and for Dennis, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next week, same time, 8:40 p.m. from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on Apex Racing TV.